Good evening. This is the iPhone reality show. I'm here with Aaron again. It's 8 o'clock in the evening in Italy. We're very tired. It's been a long day. Everybody was very focused. And I had a meeting recently with Max. We were going through the tweet feeds. And apparently there is a lot of interest about your hats,
Yes.
Aaron.
I heard somebody wanted to buy my hat.
Yep, yeah.
Let me say to the viewers at home, that can be arranged for the right price.
So everything can be arranged. They even proposed it to use it as an icon for the application.
Oh, that's very touching. Well, I doubt the designers suggested that.
No, they didn't.
No.
But they were kind of like thinking about it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, long day. Everybody was very concentrated. There was some problems at a certain point. Everybody joined in the meeting room
That's right.
to speak about some problems, and so tell
Right.
us about how it went.
So we have a screen for browsing different events, and there was a lot of decisions to be made about how to search and then how to sort them. The table view of an iPhone is often broken into groups. So if you think of the Contacts application, there's an A group, and then the people with last name beginning with A appear there, and there's a B group. And so we had to think about what's the order of the groups, what are the groups, and then how do we order things inside the groups? And it turns out to be kind of a complicated decision, especially since you could search 3 or 4 different ways.
Okay. And what were the goals for today? Were they...
So the goal for today was to have a working application. We're not quite there, truthfully. We're still getting to that point. But we're getting closer every day. We put out a lot of code today. Jim worked really hard on getting the web service going as well. So we're making progress.
So how did this go? Because was the guy from Bologna replaced by someone else? Is Jim doing it?
Yeah, so Jim is doing it. He's had some volunteers who have offered to help. But Jim, I don't know, how are your volunteers working out? Do you have your mic on?
Yeah.
All right, good. How are your volunteers working out?
They're working out. They're helping me make some sort of design decisions about PHP and ways to approach the API.
Why don't you just mention their names so they feel famous for a moment?
Yeah.
They feel the love.
Well, I've gotten help from Antonio and Giuseppe and Lucas and Aaron, and they've sent me bug fixes for code that I've checked into the repository, and they've sent me patches that are now part of the code, and as well as sort of sanity checking some of the stuff I'm doing and giving me feedback about pros and cons of different decisions. Mm-hmm. So that's been very helpful.
Great.
This is quite common, right, between programmers, like to help each other, like...
Yeah, it's one of those things is that someone who's experienced with something can often do it 10 times faster than someone who's not experienced. And Jim is a fine programmer and has done PHP, but it's a little rusty. So if he can find somebody in his community that can solve his problems quickly, he'll definitely turn to them.
Okay. So there is a kind of gift economy between programmers.
There is. Those people don't really expect to be paid, but I'll remember their names. You know, goes around, comes around.
Cool.
It's not that big a community, so it's important. A reputation is important.
Cool. And what else today?
What else today? So the programmers were busy writing a lot of code based on the designs that we already had, and I think the designers actually kind of enjoyed having a little quiet time to suss out some of the more complicated details. Am I right on that, Eddie?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so they had time to sit with their drawings, because, you know, designers, they love to draw. So they sat back and played with Photoshop a lot, and I think they enjoyed that a lot. And the programmers, we divvied up different view controllers yesterday, so we spent a lot of time, everyone working on their screens. And those are all coming along very, very nicely. So why don't I do a quick little demo of that?
Yep, sure, please.
So this is the screen that you would see when you first logged on. The email and password will be remembered by the thing once you've logged in, but if you have a new phone, for example, you might have to type in your email and password here. If you're a new user, you could fill out the information to register, or you don't even have to have an account if you just want to browse public events. So here's the agenda screen, which will come up by default, and this data is actually cached on the phone, so even if you don't have an internet connection, you can still browse your agenda so you know where to be today. One of the things that we did is when you rotate the phone, and I'll tell you, I did this part, so users at home, I'm going to put the phone up here, and you'll be able to imagine. You might have to turn your head sideways. If you turn your head sideways, when the phone goes sideways, it brings up a map of all the events that are being displayed. And when you bring the phone back up, they disappear. You can look at the upcoming events, events you've gone to in the past, and events that you planned. There's a plus button, which any moment now will enable us to add a new event. Across the bottom, we also have browsing. Browsing has come a long way. Steve worked really hard on making a custom cell that really conveys a lot of information, how far away the event is, what category it's in, what are the keywords associated with it. In these little gray areas is where the number of people coming and the number of your friends who are coming will be displayed. So that's there. And then browsing, I really wanted to give people a couple of different ways to search. So if you drag down, you get the search field, and you can type in a keyword or a date or a city. The idea being maybe you're going to New York and you want to see what's going on in New York, so you could go look at a particular city. If I go to date, I can choose a different date. I click search, and the date that's now being displayed is appearing here. If I want to go back to seeing all the events, I click the X button, which causes it to disappear. So that clears the search criteria. There's a list of friends. So here would be my list of friends, and I can scroll through and I can find somebody. I can say, aha, here's his information. I could also see what events he's come to, but that's not operational quite yet. Profile, this would be my profile. It's a similar layout to when you're looking at your friend's profile, but I can edit more information there. And that's all we have, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's where the app is. It's coming along very nicely. We've written a lot of code today, and we have every reason to be proud, and yet it's certainly not done by any stretch of the imagination. And I was hoping to have something usable at this point. We're getting there.
Because tomorrow it was supposed today in which...
So if we follow the timeline, right, the first day was the design day. When we had our kickoff meeting, we went over how the app was to be used. We started designing the screens. We broke things up according to the model classes and people who worked on the persistence API. Yesterday was assignments and bewilderment, where everybody would divvy up the task to a large degree, and people really started wrapping their head around what they were doing. And then today was the hard work to basic functionality, and the idea was that we would have a basically functional app so that we would be ready tomorrow for creating coolness.
Okay.
And so we're not quite to creating coolness yet. We're still at the getting a basic running application. But hopefully tomorrow we will get some coolness in as well.
Okay.
All right?
Good.
Well, the map is cool.
Sorry.
The map is cool.
The map is cool.
Yeah.
So I did get a little coolness in today.
So you started creating coolness already.
Right. So anybody have any issues that they wanted to air in public?
Problems?
Issues? It's been really fun having the Twitter feed. A lot of people have been monitoring the progress back in the meeting room and suggesting different solutions to things. So that's
were they interesting as well? I mean, are you actually going to use some of the suggestions from the users?
Are we using any of the suggestions from the users? I don't really know. Are we using any suggestions from the Twitter people?
If I see any that I like, I just assume it's my idea.
That's a gift economy we were talking
Right.
Right.
10 minutes ago.
So they will not be attributed. Yeah, so it's still interesting. It also gives us a lot of enthusiasm. It's nice to know that somebody's watching.
Yeah, I can see there is a lot of interest in it.
There is a lot of interesting. And we were on the unofficial Apple weblog.
Really?
And we were on Gizmodo, which are two huge websites for our community. So we feel like rock stars today.